Surviving Reality contains explicit content full of snark and sarcasm that may not be suitable for all audiences. Listener discretion is advised.
Hello and welcome to Surviving Reality.
I'm Corey.
And I'm Carly. And this is the Traitors Season 3, Episode 5, All This Murderous Power.
That was a line from Wes in this episode because he is on the hunt for a traitor. There are suspicions that are swirling about the castle. Lots of drama. We are at a significant crossroads at this point in the game. Don't know which way we're going to go.
I've been anticipating this episode since the last one ended because not really in a great place as far as the traitors go, and it felt like this could turn out to be really messy this week.
This is every episode of The Traitors for me, is where I just, as soon as it ends, I need to know what's happening on the next one. I'm already thinking about all the different ways that this can go.
Well, in this episode, with their trust shaken, the traitors must decide how to move forward. A dangerous move threatens to backfire, and the coffin theory resurfaces once more. And at a round table, the limits of an alliance within the faithful are tested. There were like 18 ands in this description.
Ifs, ands, and buts.
Because it just more things just kept happening.
A lot was happening this episode, though. So we're going to talk about it. We're going to break it down here for you, beat by beat.
Rehashing where we left off, Bob the drag queen was banished from the castle, and it was all Boston Rob's doing.
So now Boston Rob's got some splaining to do up in the turret with Danielle and Carolyn. They are not happy to see him here.
No, he's in a tough spot because although he did let them in on what was going on, it wasn't until he already had the wheels turning and there was no reversing the train. And they're not too happy about that.
So Danielle's playing it cool, though. She is not trusting Broccoli Rob anymore after this. From this point on, she will no longer be trusting him and will be actively trying to get him out of here. Banishment is the only way for a traitor to leave. So she's working on it. She's working on a plan. She's trying to come up with a new strategy for it, but she's playing it cool. She's going to keep Rob thinking like he's in control of this game. He's the leader of the traitors, and she's just here to follow along with him and trusts him completely.
I don't think he's buying it.
I think he knows better. And his message to them was, I won't turn on you if you don't turn on me. Mm-hmm. His defense for why he went after Bob the drag queen was a little rocky because it wasn't a direct accusation, but
I disagree.
I mean, it was enough reason to say you are implying, you're inferring me.
That's exactly what he did, because there were only 3 new people who came in together, one of which was Boston Rob, and nobody even wanted Rob to enter the game. That was the first challenge that they were presented, was to decide if they were going to let him in or not. People are suspicious of him. They're scared of him from the way he's played games in the past. Obviously, if you throw out this theory that one of the 3 new people is a traitor, they're probably going to start looking at him first.
That's the ridiculous side of this, though, too, is because it's like, just because Rob would have come into the house doesn't mean that he would have been a traitor. Everybody was so afraid of him being a traitor. That's the hard part. You don't know if he's a traitor. He could be a faithful.
I just didn't understand why it wouldn't register for them. Like, Carolyn, if someone said the survivors that are left, one of them is likely a traitor, he wouldn't have to specifically say, I think it's Carolyn. But if there's so few people left in your group that were from Survivor, of course you would be upset that he said that.
It would have been a problem. And Carolyn doesn't trust Rob. She didn't before. She definitely doesn't now. And she's kind of weighing her options too. But Carolyn doesn't seem like a few steps ahead sort of a thinker here in terms of the traitor role that she has in front of her.
I don't know if I agree with that. I think she's trying to sit back, because usually if you're the traitor who doesn't come forward, isn't the one making the decisions, you're not the one who messes up and decides to murder someone who people then tie back to you. They tend to last longer in the game.
If you're not making decisions and you're just going along with it as a traitor, but if you just look like dead weight and you're getting carried along, that's also a lightning rod for the traitors to turn on you. You're the traitor that is normally given up.
Yeah, but I do think that they were very excited to have Rob on their side originally. And now that they see that he's dangerous towards them as well, now all of a sudden they don't want to play as traitors with him anymore.
So we're going to have to table that discussion of who trusts whom and what's going on here, because we have to decide who to murder. That's the whole point we came to the turret tonight. We need to make this decision here. And I think where we left off, we were worried about our girl Gabby. She's our girl now.
She hasn't done much.
She's not.
She was on to them a little bit in one of the other episodes, but I did think that she would have been a possible murder. Her name does get thrown out. Do we break up the Bambis? But then again, I mean, it doesn't really seem like that's worth the effort because they didn't even vote together at the round table. So even though they're calling themselves an alliance, it's not like they're a voting bloc.
It's not that strong of an alliance, yeah.
I was surprised that Rob had so much to say in the turret. I think he probably should have taken a back seat and let the other two make the decision so that they didn't feel like he was dominating all of the traitor decisions.
It seems like if that were the case, then Danielle and Carolyn were in agreement that Gabby would be a good murder. And I think they had pieced it together that would cast suspicion on Nikki. And Nikki was one of the two people who were placed into coffins. It was Nikki and Sierra. So that's still a lot of suspicion on Nikki and Sierra.
That seemed like a good one to me, even though I didn't want Gabby to go. They're also talking about Sam. But like, why?
Showering Sam. Because that is the footage that they gave us.
He's not even on anyone's radar. He's barely playing the game, so why would you get rid of him?
I still stand by my decision because that was the first person that I was kind of landing on too. We eventually got to Gabby, but I still feel like I probably would have gone for Sam because he's middle of the road, not really contributing anything, not a great faithful, not a lot of suspicion on him either. So it just seemed like that could have been a route to go.
I feel like you need to start getting rid of people who are loud or who are on the right track. Sam's not really doing much of anything. I think he's okay to leave around for a while. Robin is the other name that gets thrown out. No one suspects that she's a traitor. That would be perhaps an interesting murder of a faithful.
Which is amazing because that's another housewife. So we would be down 4 housewives at this point.
They're almost all gone.
Almost all gone. I think that would leave Dolores left. And my thing is, I don't know why Robin doesn't have any suspicion on her because everything that she has done in this game has been so traitorish. Traitor-ish? It's been traitor-adjacent behavior.
She is someone who is loud about her opinions, though. That's someone who could be dangerous eventually if they somehow get on the right track. She's been very wrong so far, though. She defended Bob at the round table.
So then why not let some of that suspicion linger a little bit more? It's a shame. I thought she was going to be a good shield, so that was why I was keeping her out. But apparently the assessment is that there is zero suspicion of Robin, which I don't know how there was zero suspicion of Robin in that house because I would have been all over her.
We moved to breakfast and there are no eggs. That's very controversial when everybody sits down.
Is it an omen? Is it a sign?
I don't know. It looked like a light breakfast.
Well, that's a shame.
There's lots of energy buzzing in the room, though, because they found a traitor last night. And those of us who have not been murdered, we can celebrate because we are just so smart. We are so good at this game that we found a traitor last night.
You kind of have to know, especially this early, if you found a traitor, it's because you were given a traitor. So where did that come from?
Yeah, and it wasn't exactly a consensus of the group where everybody suspected that it was Bob the drag queen.
No,
that was thrown out to you.
One person who was very adamant about it because the vote was going to be Nikki versus Sierra. And then the whole room shifted based on Rob's interjection.
We have to talk about Carolyn walking into breakfast because
she's a wreck.
It's a strategy.
Yeah.
Where she's trying to act like she's out of breath. She doesn't know what's going on. She's frazzled. She's confused.
Is it a strategy? I mean, I get that she's saying that she's playing it this way, but like to be that out of it, though, I think it's overselling at this point.
It's drawing a little unneeded attention.
Dylan is noticing, but he's whispering to Danielle that he's noticing, and Danielle agrees.
Okay, new rule for Dylan. Anytime you have a thought and you tell it to someone, the person that you're speaking to is a traitor.
The people that you trust the most are the traitors. That's usually how the game works.
He is complimenting Boston Rob from across the table about how he looks very snazzy today. He really classed it up with his outfit.
His crushed velvet jacket that he's probably sweating balls in.
I am telling you, Dylan is going to make it till the end, and we are going to get the best reaction out of him when he realizes that he went to the finale with all of the traitors.
He's going to exclusively surround himself with traitors at the end of the game. It's going to be a record number of traitors and only one faithful left, which is Dylan.
We're watching people walk in. They're starting to realize that the ones who haven't come in yet are Sam and Gabby, and they almost forget about Robin.
See, it's Sam that I usually forget about, and I would have taken a pretty quick inventory here. There's no eggs because Robin is gone, and it was kind of a unanimous decision in the turret last night based on the footage that they show us, because Carolyn did not want to murder Robin. So this is 2 murders in a row that Carolyn was absolutely not on board with, but just was like, yeah, I don't know, whatever, I guess. Sure.
I want to go back to bed.
I'm tired.
How long have we been here?
Get me out of here. Whatever.
I don't know if anyone's really shocked at this point because they've just been picking housewives off one at a time. And here just goes another one. Dolores is starting to sweat, though, because she's like, I'm next. Like, very clearly, I'm the last housewife here.
I need a shield in the mission today, guys. Please help me.
Even after breakfast, really, most of the heat is still on Nikki and Sierra. People will not let the theory go that one of the traitors was most definitely in the coffins. Rob also has a target on his back because there are a few people who are suspicious of the fact that he was so sure about Bob the drag queen being a traitor.
Ivar makes sure to speak up at breakfast. He starts floating the theory that Wes shared the night before about that certainty. And so that is only stirring up more suspicion about Broccoli Rob.
Well, Rob's like, that's very interesting. Wes is the one who said that to you? He said that he thinks that I'm a traitor?
Because Ivar said it not only at breakfast, but then he also spoke directly with Rob about it too. Mm-hmm. He's been telling a bunch of people about this exchange with Wes from yesterday.
So we're going to go right to the source.
Oh, Rob's going to go talk to Wes now.
Now, he is not shy when it comes to confronting someone if they've been floating his name around.
So Wes immediately denies outright and deflects. No, that's not what I meant. I was merely saying that would be very impressive. He starts complimenting Rob about how great of a play that was. But then when we ask him in his ISO interviews, yes, absolutely, he definitely suspects that Rob is a traitor. And yes, he named Rob pretty much, called him out directly on it last night, but he does not want to take credit for that. He's going to deny that.
That was the wrong move.
I think the denying was bad.
Yeah.
Because now you got a target on you. So if you're not going to get a shield, you're up for murder, pretty much. Not really a risk of banishment, but you could be in trouble.
You could have played that off by saying, yeah, for a minute, I thought that had to be the only way that you knew. But then I considered this, and that's how you knew Bob was a traitor. Act as though you talked yourself out of it. That's what a lot of people do in this house. They talk themselves into something. They talk themselves out of a theory.
Yeah, explaining the train of thought that happened that got you from point A to point B. Because lying about it, it's just going to put a target on your back, especially if he is a traitor. Now you have to know the threat is real and it's dangerous.
And even if he's not, now you two are pinned against each other. You had to know.
He was going to find out. Like, yeah, he's going to figure it out.
Yeah, and Boston Rob is not an amateur at these games, so he's not going to approach you about something that he doesn't already know the answer to.
I will say, I was very confused why there was no suspicion about recruitment, because usually when a traitor is banished from the game, there's an opportunity to recruit a faithful as a traitor. So I think that's maybe when it drops below 3 traitors, because they had 4. They voted out Bob, so that puts them at 3, so they didn't offer them with that as an option. But the faithful don't know that.
Yeah, but doesn't usually, the way that plays out, usually somebody shows up to breakfast still. Like they didn't get rid of anyone. They're not down a person.
Right, if
unless
there's not
they
a murder.
Said, no, I don't want to be a traitor, and then they
are
out of the
murdered.
game.
Yeah.
Well, Danielle is ready to get a new traitor in here because she's starting to think, she's got theories of her own, that maybe Rob and Carolyn are working together because they were both on Survivor. So maybe they have a Survivor alliance within the Traitors.
Well, then what's weird, too, is that Rob keeps going and reassuring Carolyn, which is only making her more suspicious, that he keeps telling her that it's him and her to the final. But then she's asking Danielle, has he been saying that stuff to you? And I think Danielle realized, no. So he hasn't been saying any of that stuff to me at all. Not receiving the same reassurances.
That's because he's been watching how Danielle has been playing this game. And I don't think that he has any confidence that she's going to be here that far.
No. Yeah, he's worried.
It's time to head out to the challenge, and they all get in the cars. And this is always a good opportunity when everybody is split up to have smaller conversations.
I'm still stuck on, okay, hold on. So Danielle is thinking that there's a Survivor alliance. You don't like Rob. You wanted Rob out. But then your strategy is, I don't trust Carolyn to work with me to get Rob out. So I'm going to eliminate Carolyn and hopefully recruit a new traitor that I trust so that we can work together to get Rob out. How does that make any sense? If you think there's a Survivor alliance, you need to be getting Carolyn on your side to get Rob out.
Well, that, and you better be working overtime to make sure that all the other faithfuls believe to the ends of this earth that you are a faithful and that they will go to that round table and take up for you.
So that's very important going into the mission here, because there are a few people who are concerned they need a shield. Sierra has decided she needs a shield. I don't know why, because we know that she's probably most likely going to be brought up at the round table. So why are we going to waste a shield on you? You're not going to be here, maybe. Between Sierra and Nikki, I don't think either one of those two should be getting a shield.
I'm not sure that they really understand how the shields work yet.
I mean, well, the other confusing thing is Wes was deciding, I'm going to take a back seat on this.
Yeah, maybe not after you've been floating Rob's name out.
Not a good idea, sir. Yeah, you need to be careful now. You're pretty much in the crosshairs at this point, and I don't think he fully realizes that.
We headed to the church, so I already knew this was going to be a devastating challenge because whatever they're inside here, it's scary or things go wrong. Either there's weird people.
Well, there were the people in the masks.
Yeah,
a couple of them just standing around.
They had that challenge with the arrows.
They had a crossbow.
Yeah, remember? That's where Phaedra fucked up.
Yeah, that was a rough one. There's something about getting the traitors in a church. It makes them very uncomfortable. They've been lying. They're being deceitful. They feel guilty. They do stupid stuff.
And that continues here today. This challenge is a little bit harder. You're going to have to put your thinking caps on because we are going to be dissecting riddles.
And your reading glasses, Ivar.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know how he saw some of those tags.
So the way that the church is set up is that everybody's sitting in the front pew. There's a line of candles, production safe candles. They're battery operated. There's no open flames. There's a riddle that's being read by Alan, and whoever jumps up over the candle line first then gets to go up and answer the riddle. By answering the riddle, you are walking up to a wide selection of urns that all have a word that corresponds underneath them. You pick the urn, you take that urn, and you smash the urn in the rock circle. If you get gold dust, you win money, and you get to put your photo in a shield spot. So there are 2 shield opportunities for this mission.
Which is a lot less than there have been in the past 2 challenges.
Much less. It's very competitive. And then the trick here being that you continue to swap out. So if there's already 2 faces in the shield spots and you get one right, then you get to pick which one to bring down to swap out.
And if you get the incorrect answer, you are out. That's it. No more turns for you.
No more guesses. You don't get another chance.
Tom is really pumped for this because he's really good at riddles. He's got a big brain.
He is becoming Tom Riddle for the challenge. He is Lord Voldemort.
I do believe that his brain is working like a lot faster than other people's.
In some ways. Maybe.
I'm not saying it's because of the level of intelligence. I think that there are performance-enhancing drugs that are making him think and perhaps physically act, jump over the candles much quicker than everybody else.
Maybe on the jumping across the line, that was probably aiding in that process. I feel like his brain is more overclocked than anything. I'll put it at that, where it is moving very rapid fire, but maybe not the most efficiently. So the first riddle is read, and Bob Harper jumps over the line. He has no competition. Nobody wants to go first, and he gets it wrong pretty quickly.
And that's just it. Bob, what is happening to Bob Harper?
Bob Harper.
My God.
You are not doing great, and you're not building a good case for yourself here. I'm getting very concerned.
You think that looked like traitor behavior?
It looks like
you threw it? You threw the challenge?
Did you throw the challenge? Because then that just means less money at the end, too. So, I mean, traitors usually don't try to do that intentionally. Most of the time, it is faithful people who really suck at the challenges.
I'm just getting worried about him because we didn't excel in a physical challenge. Now we're not excelling in a mental challenge. At some point, they're going to decide that you're kind of just dead weight and not worth keeping around.
Where's our value? What are we doing? Yeah, we didn't find a traitor.
No, and he also has a lot to say at the round table. That's a dangerous combination. You're not really contributing much, and you got too much to say. That's my POV on Bob Harper.
So they miss out. Strike one. Didn't go so well. So Derek tries next on the second one. He gets the correct answer, and he picks himself for the shield spot. So that's where we're setting the baseline. He even admits, I know this might seem selfish, but I'm going with myself here.
No, and everyone goes, well, we're all going to pick ourselves too, so it's not like we're surprised that you did that.
Yeah,
it's okay.
No shock. And Tom gets the next one right. He puts his photo up. So yeah, this seems to be, we have a standard that is being set amongst who gets the right answers and who proceeds into the shield zone here.
Yeah, no one's being shy about putting their own photo up.
So Danielle goes up. And she does get the right answer. And now comes the crucial time for her to pick whose photo to put in the shield spot. And now she has to pick to remove a photo, which honestly, as a traitor, why did you go third? Because you're going to be the first person to have to take a photo down?
She's not thinking at all.
Terrible positioning, terrible spot for this to happen. Why are you doing this? What's even worse is she doesn't pick her own photo to put in the shield spot. She picks Dolores, the last remaining housewife.
And doesn't have a good reason other than I'm tired of seeing the housewives go. And everybody's looking at her. They're side-eyeing her. Dolores' jaw is on the ground because it's not like they're that close. She's trying to save her.
That's suspicious. That's suspicious. No, the weirder part, so it was bad enough that she picked Dolores. She didn't pick her own photo. So immediately people are suspicious of that. Now she walks over and she has to decide between her friend Derek or Tom, who she's going to remove from safety here. She removes Derek, and Tom can't believe it.
I mean, Tom can't believe a lot of what's happening.
Tom is shocked.
And Derek, they're equally perplexed as to what is going on here. The whole thing, her entire turn from start to end, confused everybody.
Bad play. You, as a traitor, should not have chimed in on the third one. You should not have picked somebody else's photo to put up on the shield, and you should not have removed a friend from the shield spot to replace them with your stupid pick.
And this is the second or third time already that Boston Rob's eyes have almost bulged out of his head watching Danielle do something.
It's not a good look. It's not a good read. It's not a good play. But Chriselle is up next. She gets one right, too, and has to make the difficult decision. She's going to use her own photo, and she removes, you guessed it, Tom from the shield spot. So he's back in play now.
We've got Dolores and we've got Chriselle up on the wall.
Tom tries to answer the next one. He gets it wrong because he was trying to get his spot back, but now he gets to go sit with Bob Harper and think about all of his mistakes today.
Danielle gets another turn.
Why would you go for another round?
I don't know.
Why?
There are some people who seem to have not participated or we didn't see their turn at all.
There are so many people who did not even try to jump over the line at all or didn't have an opportunity to. I think a lot of people were waiting. They wanted to wait it out till we get further in, but they didn't know how many questions they were going to have in total, how many riddles were going to be read.
Well, I thought that she was going to try to redeem herself by doing this, that she realized, oh shit, I messed up. That looked weird. I got to get up there and now put my face up there.
So what does she do instead? She does get the answer right, and she brings Derek's photo up to swap out for Chriselle. So now both of the people who have shields were selected by Danielle, handpicked.
And at no point did she seem like she was conflicted about whether or not she should put herself up there to get a shield.
Nope. The reason was she wanted to have Derek owe her a favor because she had asked him for a shield before and he said no, that's why she pulled him down. And then now seeing how upset he got, she's going to put him back into that spot. What? That doesn't make any sense.
Does she think that by doing this, she's endearing herself to the faithfuls and that they will trust that she is on their side?
That was her strategy, but then you are showing no fear of murder at all.
And they clocked that.
Yes.
They literally, Dolores asks her, "You're not worried about getting murdered?"
You done goofed. You really messed it up here because both of your turns were so bad, so poorly timed, so poorly executed. It was absolutely devastating.
They do have one last question. And Sierra knows that not a lot of people like her in the house right now. But again, I think she's a little confused about the fact that she's likely to be banished and not necessarily murdered.
That would make me feel like Sierra's a traitor, too.
Okay, let me think about it though. If you got put in one of the coffins and one of those three people got murdered and you were another person who was up for murder that same night, would you assume that the traitors are eventually going to come for you too? Or was that just a fluke that they put you in there?
Yes, but it could be a cover. If you are a traitor, now you are taking a shield that would protect someone else, and now you're able to use it. Plus, you have the shield going into banishment, so you almost deter people from voting for you because now you're protected. Is it a wasted shield, basically, then, at that point, if you banish Sierra instead of Nikki? So people already had suspicion of Nikki. It was kind of 50-50 between the two of them. So would you vote for somebody who has a shield or doesn't have a shield?
I guess I would vote for somebody who does have a shield.
Because then that way you would know if they were a traitor or not. Because if they show up the next day and they didn't have a shield,
it's only adding to the suspicion. Like, you're not really learning anything from keeping someone in the game who has a shield who you suspect could be a traitor.
Yeah, but then also we know that both of them are faithful, so it doesn't even matter.
Well, we know. We don't care.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's the complication. Because even if they vote Sierra out at the round table and she has a shield, and then Nikki still walks in tomorrow morning, people are going to think, wow, Nikki's a traitor. She's not, but they're going to think that.
Well, we end this game and they banked, I don't know how much money.
$15,000.
Okay, we're adding a little bit, slowly chipping away.
And Sierra did get her question right, by
Yes.
the way, and she pulled Derek's photo down. So it's now Dolores and Sierra who have the shields.
In the cars on the way back, people start planting seeds. Derek is suspicious of Danielle.
He noticed the misplay, and I think Danielle is now realizing, in hindsight, coming out of the church, she's coming back to her senses. She's realized the gravity of this misplay today. Multiple misplays.
So she's trying to use the time in the car to talk to Wes, Dylan, and Ivar, who are also there with her. And she is going to throw a name out. She's acting like she's really nervous to do it, but she's been thinking about it. And she really thinks that one of the traitors is definitely a woman. And her name is Carolyn.
Danielle names Carolyn in the car completely to deflect. And Dylan is not buying it. He doesn't believe that for 1 second. He doesn't think Carolyn's a traitor. Can I just tell you how suspicious, extra suspicious it would be if I watched Danielle perform the way that she did during that mission, And then immediately in the car ride back to the castle, she starts throwing out names that nobody else has ever brought up. Super suspicious.
It was a bad play after a bad play. She's not making it better. I don't know what's going to happen with Danielle, but I don't think that she's got the longevity to play this to the end.
I've called it as soon as I saw it that she seemed like she was a very overconfident traitor who was going to think that she is the best traitor to ever play the game and really, really is not.
Mm-hmm. Well, she doesn't even stop there. Even though the people in the car didn't really seem that persuaded by what she said, she then approaches Brittany when they get back to the castle and tells her the same thing.
Brittany's kind of buying into it because at first she didn't really believe it, but then Danielle's able to convince her that, hey, have you been right about anybody though? No, I think you're just wrong a lot. So maybe start listening to people more. But why is Danielle so sweaty?
She's sweating a lot. I would also be questioning, if you had a name that you wanted to bring up before the round table, why didn't you feel like you needed a shield? Shouldn't that be the day specifically that you really, really, really want a shield?
And you had 2 opportunities to put your face up for a shield.
No one's really putting 2 and 2 together.
That's suspicious. Very suspicious.
There are other people who've been paying attention to what's been going on too. Chriselle, in the car on the way back, she felt like something weird happened with Nikki.
Well, it was on the car ride to the mission. It was when,
not back.
Well, Rob was lying to Nikki. He was saying stuff about how Bob the drag queen told Rob that last night he was going to vote for Nikki, and Nikki couldn't believe that. She was shocked. Chriselle was sitting right next to Nikki in the car, and there was something about Nikki's reaction to that just felt off. Chriselle doesn't really have a definitive answer as to why, but it just seems like something was off. The whole conversation, though, that's taking place in the billiard room is very, I mean, I love her, but she's like totally a problem.
Kind of a problem.
She's kind of a problem.
I love her, though.
So the whispering.
They're whispering. It's weird.
The whispering between Chriselle and Rob.
Also, yeah, there was a strange energy in the car because Rob is a traitor and was lying. That was probably what you were picking up on. It wasn't from Nikki.
That might be the vibe.
And you know why he said that to her? It's because who is likely going to face off tonight at the round table? He's thinking, my name's going to get thrown out there. Nikki's name's going to get thrown out there. So if I'm able to get her to feel like I did something last night that kept her from going home, maybe she won't be so quick to turn the finger at me when someone else brings up my name. Because that's what happens. When you get accused of being a traitor, whoever else's name has been floated at the table is usually the person that you go after.
So there's still some general suspicion lurking about here. It seems like it's mostly falling on Nikki and Sierra.
Because of the caskets, nobody can get
coffins.
over it.
Yeah, the coffins.
Is that different?
It's different than a casket, yeah.
All right. We're really splitting hairs.
Okay. But Nikki has a pretty good theory. She's just going to tell them she's a faithful. That seems like a pretty quick way to get sent home.
I am so annoyed. This show has been on for so many seasons. Well, this is season 3, but there are many iterations in other countries as well. You could have watched all of them before you came on this season. It never works when you're faithful to come to the round table and just say, I'm a faithful through and through. I can promise you, and you're all going to feel really dumb when I stand up there and say that I'm a faithful. That never works. We need a different strategy.
Bob just said it last night. Okay? Like, we saw what happened with that. You can't promise to be faithful.
No.
The only thing you can do is give them someone who's more suspicious than you.
Exactly. You need to be watching everyone like a fucking hawk, trying to figure out someone who did something that was more off than whatever you have done, so that they start looking at them. You need to distract everybody.
Did you see what was happening during the game with the urn and the shields, though? Did we notice any of Danielle's plays today?
Was anyone else in the room?
Nikki, Gabby, anybody from the Bambis? You got those big doe eyes. Did you see it?
It was such an opportunity. That was a gift given to Nikki.
That would have been so good, because you would expect that the round table banishment discussion would be Nikki and Sierra, but it's not that. This is what bothers me about the roundtable discussion, though, because now we shift into the roundtable discussion. Ivar opens up with an introduction, summarizes everything, how it seems to be Nikki, Sierra, and Rob. He's including Rob as well, and then wants Rob to defend, why are you not a traitor? Because that seemed pretty suspicious that you went after Bob the Drag Queen yesterday with absolute certainty. I think what bothered me was that Rob was able to talk his way out of it at the beginning of this as part of the introduction, and then it shifts to Nikki and Sierra, which that is the entire conversation that Rob broke up and interrupted the day before so he could get Bob the Drag Queen out. So why are we circling back on this when you, Rob, steered us away from that conversation yesterday because that's all a distraction?
Nobody's thinking that way.
Nobody called that out. And if I were Wes, I might have brought that up because you have to think you're in trouble. You're close. You don't have a shield. You were playing it cool today. You were taking a back seat on the challenge, which I mean, yeah, you're giving Danielle plenty of opportunity to just immolate herself. But I feel like that was my main disconnect, was why was Rob so fervently against the Nikki and Sierra discussion yesterday? And now he's okay with that now that his name's in the mix.
That's a good point. Well, I don't know. Did he really defend them? Or did he just say this person is more suspicious than them, which is exactly the approach that we just suggested?
That's what happens. I mean, yes, but at one point while they were discussing, he interrupted and he said, you guys are focusing on the wrong thing. This is all a distraction and here's where you need to focus. And then he was, surprise, surprise, spot on with Bob the Drag Queen.
I think it's just too late. This theory has already infiltrated the group, and there's pretty much nothing that's going to deter them from going after Nikki and Sierra tonight. And honestly, it's because they don't have any better option presented to them.
Sam did make a note. This is the most play that I've seen out of Sam this entire season, is that he is letting Rob know, if you don't get murdered tonight because you don't have a shield, I'm going to be looking at you.
Bob Harper piles on too, because he says to Rob, I think that you would have come into this game, and if you were a traitor, that one of the first things you would do is get rid of another traitor to assert your dominance.
I've seen your gameplay before. I've studied it.
Which I was like, wow, Bob Harper woke up. What happened?
Kind of, but then everybody lets Rob just wiggle out because he's like, yeah, I mean, that would be great. That's not what happened. And so everybody just kind of goes along with that, where, yes, he's not disagreeing with me, because if he were a traitor, he would disagree with me, which is the exact opposite. You have to be agreeable as a traitor.
He's just also doing a really good job, in my opinion, of not letting what they're saying to him seem like it's getting to him.
Well, yeah, he's not reacting to things. He's responding to things.
I think that's helping.
He is more measured, and he does speak logically and factually in a way that deters a lot of blame away from him. Between the conversation of Sierra and Nikki, we don't see a lot of that.
No, I really think that Nikki had just decided that it was a foregone conclusion that she was going to get voted out tonight, and she came to the round table with no fight left in her.
Between that and then also Chriselle piles on. Chriselle was one of Nikki's closest allies in the castle. Mm-hmm. And she speaks up reluctantly, but she does speak up and pretty much buries Nikki at that point and attributes everything to an energy shift in the car.
Et tu, Brutus. The energy shift, she says that she can feel energies and that she saw something change in Nikki once Bob the Drag Queen got voted out. And everyone just accepts that. Like, they're convinced that Chriselle is able to tap into something that they aren't aware of. And that is the final nail in Nikki's coffin.
This is why the witch trials did so well.
It's true.
This is basically the exact same thing.
Oh my God. Somebody needs to study the Salem witch trials and come into this game using that approach.
There's a lot of lessons to be learned. There are.
It's pretty much unanimous.
Yeah, at voting time, it's Nikki by a landslide, basically. And she is absolutely banished, and she is definitely a faithful. So everybody's feeling real bad. The betrayal is off the charts.
Gabby voted for her too.
Gabby voted for her. Chriselle, everybody feels so guilty. And I mean, Chriselle specifically, because she was even saying, I wish that Nikki would have put up a little bit more of a fight at the round table and I might have changed my mind. But then also realized while she's saying that, I think Nikki kind of knew that if I was saying that I thought that Nikki was the traitor, she had no more friends left at that table. So there was no convincing anyone after that. So that's why Chriselle feels even more responsible.
It's been a shitty couple of days for Nikki. I think she just wants to go home and not worry about these people ever again.
I think that was the main goal. Yeah, she's ready to get out of here.
That's where the Bambis that are left are all scattered across the castle. They're all upset. And then we've got Derek and Wes talking to each other. They're kind of breaking down what they observed at the round table. And Derek is telling Wes, you need to keep an eye on Rob. Because if you look at him, just watch his eyes during the round table, when we're at challenges, when he's just sitting in a room by himself, he is always on. He's always thinking and strategizing. And I'm starting to wonder why that is.
It's interesting that we're seeing Derek's suspicion grow of Rob, and he's confiding in Wes a little bit here. I still feel like Wes is the bigger threat to Boston Rob at this point. So, I mean, if you did have to pick between Derek or Wes for murder tonight, potentially, because neither one of them have a shield, that could be a route to go.
Let's think about it. I think it's too obvious to murder Wes because he was the one throwing out Boston Rob's name to multiple people. I would go for Derek because I think that Wes needs backup if he's going to go into the round table and accuse Boston Rob. And if he doesn't have Derek there, that becomes substantially harder.
To be fair, too, it's going to be worse if Wes brings it up at the round table because then Rob can say that he asked him if he named him and Wes is going to have to lie.
Mm-hmm.
So then people are going to find out that Wes lied to Rob. And that's going to look bad on Wes.
Yeah. Ivar, Dylan, all the people who heard him say it firsthand are going to wonder if they can trust Wes. And also, I don't think that he has really established himself well enough with the other faithfuls to have people follow him when he throws out a name at the round table. And unless you have influence, you're kind of useless in this game because no one is going to change what they're thinking and hop on board with you unless there's something really compelling.
Like Danielle's performance at the mission today.
You would think.
I would hope that people would believe me when I would say it if I called it out.
Rob is probably going to have a big issue in the next episode because he's going to survive murder because he's a traitor. He was never up for it. And people are going to think that's odd.
I think that's why you can't eliminate one of the gamers because if Rob's still going to be here tomorrow, you need to have all three of the gamers still here tomorrow, too.
Yeah, but doesn't that work for Rob to say, well, why would I get rid of one of them? Because it eliminates the number of people who you're suspicious of?
I guess.
Really, the only person who cast that suspicion, though, was Bob the drag queen.
Yeah, so I guess it depends on how much suspicion there is in the house, that one of the gamers, because we know the coffin theory, that stuck. So there was definitely suspicion, unanimous suspicion from everybody in the house on that. So is the gamer theory that Bob, the drag queen, was circulating, did that stick as well?
Do you convince Danielle and Carolyn to murder Derek because Danielle took Derek's name down and then put Derek back up for a shield? If you can get them to go along with it, does it look odd for other people? Will they look at Danielle again?
People would look at Sierra too closer because Sierra took Derek's name off of there, his photo down, so that she could have a shield that night. So that adds extra suspicion too.
They just can't keep the gamers in for that long. That's my opinion. You need to get the people
keep them unified. And I mean, right now they're unifying against Rob. So that's what Rob needs to be careful of too. Dylan's also playing this game though.
He's trying. He's trying
still
his
here.
best.
Well, I mean, he voted for Gabby at the round table, and he shamed the rest of the table for voting for Nikki. So he's riding pretty high on his horse right now.
And again, he approaches another traitor. He's talking to Carolyn, and mentions, Danielle came to me and said your name today.
Which Carolyn was pretty surprised to hear that because she knew that she had concerns about Broccoli Rob and him not being trustworthy. But now Danielle's trying to turn on Carolyn. She didn't expect that.
This is one of the craziest seasons of the Traitors as far as the Traitors turning on each other goes. They don't trust anyone now.
No, I mean, that's kind of the point. But yeah, it's like the only way that you catch traitors are traitors who betray traitors. Usually, unless you're Peter from The Bachelor.
I'm kind of fine with them not playing together, though. I like that dynamic more when the Traitors are out for themselves.
Yeah.
And not playing as an alliance.
It's interesting. Yeah, there's definitely more circumstances where it can be entertaining. But I think for me, in an entertainment value mindset as well, if I were Carolyn and I was walking into the turret tonight, I think I would just ask, hey, has anybody heard my name come up today? Anybody? Anybody at all?
You want her to do the Boston Rob thing, like when he went up to Wes.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then Danielle's going to go, I don't know. I haven't really heard anything about it.
And that's when you know.
Do you call her out on it?
No, I wouldn't let her know. I would tell Rob, listen, this is what we're doing tonight. We're fucking done with her. We're letting Dylan do the dirty work.
Carolyn doesn't play it that close to the chest, though. She's a very emotional, reactive sort of player because from the preview for next week, it seems like Carolyn and Danielle are going to be going at it at the round table. And Carolyn was shouting things like, the only two people that I want to murder tonight are you two, my fellow traitors. I don't trust you guys.
Does not seem like it's going to be an easy meeting in the turret this week.
Rob had some splaining to do this week, and it looks like Danielle's going to have some splaining to do next week.
Before we go, a few quick things. Over on our Patreon, you can listen to this episode ad-free and early. You can check that out by using the link in our bio.
If you like what you're hearing, make sure you subscribe, leave us a review.
A review would be really helpful. It helps other people be able to discover the podcast.
Yeah, it's always good.
I don't know how it works. There's an algorithm. It likes when you get reviews.
People helping people. Positive things.
Thanks for listening. See you next time.